Okay, here's my attempt at the second video. Now, you have this question in your second PUC business studies and also in first PUC business studies as well. All right. Now, you would get this question on what are the formalities of a forwarding agent for at least about 10 marks. All right. So, you need to list down everything. Okay. Now, I'm sure that in your colleges, your teachers would have not even bothered to tell you what is a forwarding agent in the first place. All right. Now, let me first tell you what an agent is, and later on move on to what a forwarding agent is later. All right. Now, you require the function of an agent for one big reason, that would be when the distribution network is pretty vast. At least in the domestic trade, that's the reason why you would need an agent in the first place. Now, if you look at products like milk or products like newspapers, it's practically delivered to every household in Bangalore. Now, KMF or Times of India or Deccan Herald does not have the infrastructure to deliver the products themselves, since the distribution network is so vast. They don't have the resources themselves to do it. So what they do is they employ agents who are able to do this work on their behalf. Okay. Now remember this point which I said. An agent is doing your work. Okay. You are supposed to do that job, but instead an agent is doing it on your behalf. Okay. Now keep that in mind. And now let me come down to what a forwarding agent does. Okay. Now, if you look at these different points, I think there are about 8 points if I'm not wrong. All right. So let's start off with what a forwarding agent is, and later on move on to what are the different formalities of a forwarding agent. All right. Now, a forwarding agent is required in foreign trade when you are not able to import a product yourself, okay, or export a product, either way. Okay. Now, a forwarding agent does both sides of the trade. It's effectively the same guy who's doing both sides. Okay, if he's into the business of exports, you call him as forwarding agent. If he's in the business of imports, you call him as a clearing agent. All right. Now, what's the reason why you would require to do something like this? Okay. Now, let's say you're a person, say in Bannerghatta Road, wherein you are into the cutting and the polishing of marble or granite. Now, if you've been to Bannerghatta Road, you would notice that a lot of people there who own those different stores are in fact either registered as a partnership firm or as a sole proprietorship firm. Okay. Now, if you want to do international trade, you cannot do business with the other guy when you're registered as a sole proprietorship or a partnership or a Hindu undivided family, a family business, you would say. Now, the reason being, there is not enough regulations in that particular type of business. So the other guy doesn't trust you at all. To be very blunt, he doesn't trust you at all. So what you do here is, you don't say, for example, Vipin Marbles and Granites is exporting something. It's registered as a sole proprietorship. I would in fact contact an agent, and the agent here will go about exporting on my behalf. Of course, he'll take a commission from his side, but paying that commission is a lot better than me having to register my business as a company and then, the whole circus afterwards. So why bother doing all that, right? When you have an agent who's able to take care of everything from his side. So the agent is always registered as a company. Now, when he is registered as a company, that makes things so much more easier for me to do. I need not go about taking up registration. I need not talk to companies, the registrar of companies. None of that work is required. All I need to do is tell the agent that do the following jobs, and he takes care of it all. Okay, so that's one reason. Because the agent is already registered as a company, it makes it easier for doing trade internationally. In international trade, it's usually one company with the other. It can never be with one family business and another company abroad. Okay, they just don't trust us if you're registered as a sole proprietorship or a partnership. Okay, because you could just shut down and run away with the money which the importer may have paid you. So it lacks regulations on that matter. Okay, now let's look at formalities of a forwarding agent. I'll try to explain each point as slowly as possible. All right, and we can see, in fact, how I'm sorry, I got a text message on my phone, so I'll just switch it off. Yeah. Okay. let's start off with obtaining the customs permit. Okay, the customs are a division of the central government. Okay, now you need to take permission from them when you're doing international trade, be it exports or imports. You still need to take permission from them. So all you need to tell them is, I'm exporting the following goods. Can you tell me yes or no whether I can do it or not? Okay, so that's the first thing that you have, obtaining the customs permit. Then secondly, obtaining the shipping order. Now shipping order here is a document wherein you need to buy real estate on a ship. Okay, now here is where the tricky part comes in. You may have noticed in some boxes, or even when you get onto Flipkart, they give you dimensions of the phone, or dimensions of a product. And when I say dimensions of a product, I mean they give you the complete dimensions, not just the length and breadth. They even go about giving you the height of the product. Now the reason is that because when you're importing, you cannot buy real estate on the ship like how you buy real estate in, say, Bangalore based on square feet. It doesn't work that way. Here you need to look at volume. Okay, that's the reason why you see one steel container being stacked on top of the other on these container ships. Okay, so you need to buy real estate on a ship. So depending upon what is the quantity of goods you're exporting, accordingly you need to purchase the appropriate value of real estate on board the ship. Okay, so there, obtaining the shipping order is effectively buying space on the ship to load your goods. Then the third one, completion of shipping bill and payment of export duty. Completion of shipping bill is just agreeing with the shipping agency that you want to do business with them, and they are agreeing to export your goods. They're agreeing to your goods to be loaded on board the ship. Okay, a shipping agency is nothing but a company that owns a ship. Okay, payment of export duty. Here is where another interesting part comes in. If you remember the previous months, the government of the government of Karnataka would give you exemptions on excise duty. However, government of India will not give you any exemptions on any taxes that you need to pay. You will have to go about paying export duty on the value of the goods which are leaving the country. Okay. Then payment of dock dues. A simple way to remember dock dues is that you have these crane operators who load and unload goods on the ship. Okay, so you need to pay their fees for having the goods being loaded on board the ship. Okay, if you look at a port, you have a lot of people who participate in the trade, be it directly or indirectly. You have people who own warehouses, you have people who own ships, you even have people who own cranes as well. So the crane operator, the company that operates the cranes, you need to go about paying these the charges that they levy on operating the crane. Okay, then customs verification before loading of goods. Now before goods are loaded, the customs guys, which is a division, like I said, of the central government, they go about checking the quality and they go about validating whether you are exporting whatever you say you are exporting. Okay, if you look at foreign trade, it's a big business for, in fact, smuggling goods. Okay, a lot of people, you may have come across stories in the news of how these Africans and how a lot of the people from abroad who in fact who bring in narcotics into the country by smuggling into hardbound books, by smuggling it into pets. Yeah, I've even heard rumors where people smuggle bags of cocaine into reptiles. They force the animal to swallow it, and you can bring it to India without much of difficulty. So you can see how creative people are when it comes to smuggling. So to avoid such incidents happening, you have customs verification before loading of goods. Okay, I'm not giving you options here to go about smuggling. I'm just telling you that was a disclaimer so that I don't get into any legal troubles later from making this video. Then mate's receipt. Now I may have told you this in class, but nonetheless you have different ranks in the shipping business. Okay, firstly, if you look at historically, the captain of a ship is a person who looks after the ship, individual ship. Okay, an admiral is a guy who looks after a fleet of ships. Okay, and there is a commodore. The commodore is the guy who heads the whole navy, you could say. Okay, you don't have commodore anymore. You have admiral, you have captain, and you have the guy below the captain that happens to be first mate, or just you would call him as mate. In case you guys are big fans of Pirates of the Caribbean, you would know the Black Pearl, the original captain of the Black Pearl was Captain Jack Sparrow, and his first mate was Geoffrey Rush, that is Captain Barbossa. Okay, and Captain Barbossa commits mutiny, blah 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 blah. We'll get into that some other time. So a first mate here is a guy who is in fact second in command to the captain. Okay, so what does the first mate do here? He goes about checking the quality of these goods after they're loaded on the ship, and during the journey of the goods from, say, the destination, from the location of export to the importer's location. Now a lot can change. There are weather conditions that could affect it, human error, that all that could deteriorate the quality. In case anything has been affected, the quality has deteriorated, you will see a invoice, sorry, not an invoice, a report being generated by the first mate, which is given to the exporter, saying that okay, you loaded 100 goods, 2 of them have been damaged, and the exporter can use this to claim insurance. Okay, so that's the purpose of a mate's receipt. Then a bill of lading. Now how do you say that this goods which you are in fact exporting is in fact belonging to the right person? Okay, now to show that who is the original owner of these goods, who's the actual guy who's purchased these goods, you have a document here called bill of lading. Now just imagine yourself at a port. Okay, you have dozens of ships there, many other importers as well who imported probably the same goods as you. And how can you go about saying that this product in fact belongs to me and that belongs to someone else, right? So you have a document here which is called bill of lading, that in fact says that you are the original owner of these goods, you are the person who is in fact paid for this. Okay, it's a way to claim identity proof for the products that you've purchased. Then insurance of cargo. If you remember your topics on marine insurance, you need to go about taking up insurance on your cargo. Okay, now insurance on cargo depends on what exactly you are exporting, the quantity of the goods, the type of goods, all that is taken into consideration when you are exporting goods. Okay, I'm not really sure about the cost, the premium that you need to pay when it comes to marine insurance, but as far as I know, you need to go about personally and checking with the insurance company before you actually take up the policy. And finally, the last point, advice to the exporter. The forwarding agent here is able to collect information from the importer when it comes to the quality of these goods, and then in fact go about giving details on whether the products are in good quality, whether there can be any improvements. All those details are in fact provided by the importer to the forwarding agent, who in turn is able to give it to the exporter. Okay, now with that said, remember that this question can come for in fact 10 marks. All right, you will find these notes in detail on my website, vipinmks.com, vipinmks.com. Okay, anyway, thank you for your time. I hope this video made sense, and I hope I've been able to explain it better than what your classes have done in college. All right, thank you.